pleasure being here. I'm very excited to talk to you on a very important aspect of generative AI, which is sovereignty, and sovereignty on the entire stack, as was pointed out by Shruti, ranging from data to models to architecture, while being frugal, scalable, and obviously, as a good canonical representation of the global south, being able to adapt multilinguality, converting diversity into a strength. Now, this is a consortium effort, a very unique in the world initiative. While we have top faculty from IIT Madras, IIT Hyderabad, IIT Hyderabad, IIM Indore, IIT Kanpur, and now IIT Kharagpur, IIT Delhi, so Triple IIT Delhi and IIT Kharagpur. What is interesting is the initiative functions through a Section 8 company, a not-for-profit. So we are actually hiring top talent from across IITs, including our own. So this is actually India's AI opportunity, converting the diversity into a strength by leveraging the similarity across languages, getting back our skilled engineers and researchers to work together, and that's what made DeepSeek possible, by the way. Also, India is trotting on the path of global leadership, but how do you really make this opportunity as a very important leapfrogging opportunity? So, the way we envisaged BharatGen, while certainly technological sovereignty and data sovereignty are important, how do we actually also convert the tag of India being a use case capital to an IP producer? This, needless to say, goes with other important aspects of national security and privacy, Atmanirbharta and cultural preservation. Now I move from the why to the what. So what have we been doing so far? We're very grateful to the Department of Science and Technology, who last October decided to fund us through a Section 8 company. And early this year, in June, we had our BharatGen Summit, which saw the release of several models. Obviously, we've been releasing models continuously. AIM has been featuring several of them. And here's a short representative summary, a range of models from 500 million to 7 billion parameters. We released the Param one, which was a 2.9 billion pre-trained from the scratch, from the first byte to the last byte, large language model for text, which had 33% Indian data, significant 25% of Hindi. This was Hindi-English. And we also released several domain-specific models in agriculture, legal, finance, and Ayurveda. We also have an upcoming release of a 7 billion mixture of experts. So there are probably only a couple, handful, maybe two small models of the order of 7 billion, one from IBM and one from us, which are mixtures of experts. Right? Whole bunch of models tagged as Suktam, and I'll talk about that for text-to-speech, speaker conditioned text-to-speech, Shrutam, which is the automatic speech recognition, constrained ASR, and Patram, which was India's first vision language document model, 7 billion parameters. All these models are available on Hugging Face and on AI Kosh.
Param, bilingual chat model, which is as good in Hindi as it is in English. The upcoming model will support 15 Indian languages. Patram, language model for documents. It understands Indian English documents via text or voice. Shrutam, speech-to-text model. It gives accurate transcription of Hindi spoken in any regional accent. Suktam, text-to-speech model family, where speech can be generated in different Indian accents or personal styles across 5 languages. The proof is already here. Meet Krishi Sathi, powered by BharatGen. It delivers hyper-local, intelligent advice to farmers, spoken in their language, tailored for their soil and climate.
भंडारण के वो कोई ऐसी प्रोडक्ट है जिसकी वजह से
भंडारण के दौरान प्याज की गुणवत्ता बनाए रखने के लिए आप उन्हें सूखने, सड़ने,
empowering Indian farmers to take right decisions. This is just the beginning. BharatGen is the seed of India's AI ecosystem. empowering
So, this
governance,
is actually the
agriculture,
synchronous
education,
ecosystem,
healthcare,
having our feet on the
every
ground
sector,
for application,
every state,
while also
every
ensuring
citizen.
that we are building
A new dawn
models
rises,
which are
powered
not
by
just
Bharat
keeping
Gen,
the Western models
Bharat's
algorithm.
AI, Bharat's
Insights into
future,
how this is very
building an
important,
AI
especially
empowered Bharat,
hence
innovative
seeing
AI
a lot of
journey.
diversity
Jai Hind.
in the Indian uh, subcontinent, but this diversity is characterized by gradient, a continuum, right? As you move from one place to the other, as you move from Bangalore to Mysore, you'll actually find a gradient in terms of the voice. And how do we leverage that in building our models? So we've also been doing a lot of upskilling papers. We continuously publish. In a short span of 8 to 10 months, we have 15 plus papers from Bharat Gen in top tier venues, hackathons and so on. And this
हम प्याज के लिए जो 3.5 महीने के बाद स्टोरेज करते हैं, तो स्टोरेज में ज्यादा दिक्कत आती है, तो स्टोरेज कैसा करना चाहिए?
क्या आप बता सकते हैं कि आपके प्याज की किस्म कौन सी है और आपने फसल कब काटी थी? प्याज को ठंडी और हवादार जगह में रखें जहां तापमान 25 से 30 डिग्री सेल्सियस और नमी 65 से 70% के बीच हो।
of expert is being made available in 15 Indian languages plus English, so 16 languages altogether. Now, we have been very honored, we are very grateful that yesterday at a very important event which characterized the India AI Impact Summit pre-event, an announcement awarded us a significant 900 plus crore grant to scale up our effort to large number of parameters, agentic models for Bharat. And yes, this is the model scaling initiative through the India AI mission. What's also interesting is through this, we see a whole of government approach. While we were initially funded by the Department of Science and Technology, MITI has actually stepped in a very significant way. So how are we doing all of this? So let's begin with this ecosystem. It's very important for us to understand at the bottom, you see the recipes in indigenous models and benchmarks. Now, the recipes are the nuts and bolts that actually make scalable systems work. Otherwise, we'll only be paper factories, right? But then, papers are important. That's where the research-based enabling of technology helps us push the frontiers. Knowledge-driven components are important because we don't want everything to be just algorithmic innovation. We also want language specifics, the nuances of speech to also reflect in the models, more so when there is explainability. And then we get back to the other important aspect, which is data sovereignty on the left-hand side, data mixing, explainability, provenance on the data, and all of that goes back to help improve our recipes. You see, it's a virtuous cycle which we need to be completely indigenous. And let me give some examples through speech. So in the case of speech, I'm going to begin with the first component, which is data. We have collected more than 12,000, actually 13,000 hours of speech data across different PIN codes in a very short span of time. And one of the things we realized is we need very robust mechanisms to ensure that semantic, syntactic checks are brought in as you source data from multiple vendors to ensure data fidelity, explainability, provenance, metadata correctness, and so on. Obviously, this also has led us to build agentic architectures around data cleansing. Now, some glimpses into how we are able to improvise on state-of-the-art architectures to build India-specific architectures. For example, the automatic speech recognition architecture is extremely driven by our effort in the LLM space. So we were able to do LM rescoring with different kind of LM weighing schemes, and this was enabled through a E-branch former architecture, within the transducer layer. And what is interesting is this has brought us to the top of the ASR chart, the automatic speech recognition chart. And we have compared against a whole bunch of other state-of-the-art models as well as companies. And you see we are right there, up at the top on multiple benchmarks. Likewise for text-to-speech. Now, one of the challenges with blindly adopting English text-to-speech models for India is that many of these Western text-to-speech models have something called the need for a duration prediction. So when I say namaste, the emphasis, the pitch, the duration for which I'm going to pronounce these phonemes matters a lot. Right? Namaste versus namaste. Now, the Western models often have dependence on what we call the duration of the prediction in the form of annotated data. How do you bypass that? Thankfully, there was an architecture called FITT as a fairy tailer that fakes fluent and faithful speech without flow matching. And these are models we need, for example, in the Krishi Sati demo, where we need personalized speech. Now, good thing about FITTS is that it discards strict alignment. But the problem, as I say, there's no free lunch. So what is the price we pay? 3x training time, right? 3x training time, in fact, there's also an inference overhead. So what do we do? Well, this is where innovation, academia, engineering come together, makes a big difference. So we had frequency selective boosting. If you look at the evolution of the LLs components, the frequency components, high-low, low-low, low-high, and high-high, you'll find that with these kinds of models, the evolution is slow. Often, even if there's a peak, there's a tendency for it to go down. It doesn't actually stabilize, as you can see in the rightmost bottom corner, HH. And what we are able to achieve through wavelet decomposition, right? Obviously, a lot more beyond just the use of the decomposition is you see a stabilization of the band, quick ramp up across all those frequency bands. And this also yields very good ASR. So here's a Tamil.
நாடு முழுவதும் கொரோனா தொற்று பாதிக்கப்பட்டவர்களின் எண்ணிக்கை 3000-ஐ கடந்துள்ளது. கடந்த 2019ஆம் ஆண்டு நாடு முழுவதும் பெரும்
A sample speech is provided along with the script. And new text is being
பெரும் இந்திய விண்வெளி வீரர் குழுட்டன் சுக்லா சர்வதேச சுபான்ஷி திரும்பினார். இது பாதுகாப்பாக இந்தியாவின் மனித விண்வெளி பயண இலக்குகளுக்கு ஊக்கமளிக்கிறது.
So this is pretty much in the voice of the speaker, and we were able to do with less data, the Suktam, but we didn't stop there. For us, alternatives are important, and that's one of the hallmark of good research, that we lay alternatives on the floor, right? We are able to come up with 1/10th smaller model, which is of course based on diffusion architecture. But the interesting thing here is we condition it on the speaker. In the previous case, what you needed, what you saw, was the speaker speaking out a text and then new text being rendered in the voice of the speaker. Here what you need is only the speaker's voice. You don't need the associated text that was being read out. And all you do is condition the model on the speaker encoded or speaker encoder based representation of the speech. And here we are able to actually capture a lot more prosodic features, which means we can actually go beyond cloning the voice to also generating emotions. We'll be showing some demos later on of how these emotions can reflect in end-to-end use cases. So this is basically based on an end-to-end attention-based duration model. The interesting thing is a compact architecture with just 16 million parameters. This results in much less inference time. All the work we keep pushing on archive, and many of them get published eventually. So here's a small demo. You see there's a trade-off. The trade-off is obviously in terms of fidelity. Well, but you can go to our paper and try it out yourself. Let me go to the next important aspect. How do you actually build LLM or equip these models with the large language modeling capability? While we were awaiting the big funds from the India emission, we are researchers. So, right, we can't keep waiting for the funds. We know that there are things we can do frugally as well. So a whole bunch of our researchers, my PhD student, started experimenting with what does it take to actually equip the speech models with LLM. Let's say for the case of ASR, so we enhanced multilingual ASR. Now the important part here is how do you map the speech to the text? And that's done typically through a projector. But if you want to do this for multiple Indian languages, you want to train the speech to text for multiple Indian languages, can we do it using a mixture of experts? Can the projector be a mixture of experts? And actually we find that that's very effective. So sometimes you can also have shared experts which are able to cater to languages of the South. And we did find some very interesting patterns. For example, some observation. Tamil is confidently routed to a dedicated expert, whereas a language like Telugu is able to leverage other South Indian languages. Hindi and Marathi consistently flavor the same expert. So, I mean, this is interesting how we're able to do things frugally. And the confusion matrix is basically graphically representing the textual observations depicted here. Now, what does it take to really build these large models? So, on one hand, you need very good speech encoders, and this requires a lot of compute. So far, many of the experiments we used off-the-shelf encoders. If you're building our own encoders, we're going to build them based, again, on the phonetic similarity of Indian languages. The same word swagat is rendered in multiple Indian languages, swagatam in the case of Malayalam. But what you find is the syllables exhibit significant similarity across those. How can this be leveraged to actually build end-to-end speech LLMs? So obviously, you need recipes beyond just the architecture. Recipes could be whether you do speech encoder training plus text decoder being frozen, or speech encoder training plus text decoder, instruction fine-tuning, and so on, right? And of course, the other important part is, while I talked about extensive compute, we also need extensive data to have these speech encoders built from significant amount of unlabeled data. Plenty of unlabeled data, small amount of labeled data. So this is exactly where all those interesting combinations come up, right? So here's a small.
हमके सीने में दर्द होत हो, डॉक्टर के आशंका बा कि हार्ट में कोनो ब्लॉकेज न हो, यही खातिर हमके एंजियोग्राफी करावे के बा।
As she was speaking angiography, there was a lot of background noise. There was a general background noise for Bhojpuri, as an example. And a conventional ASR gets you endography. But when you have the larger context, you're able to get angiography despite the background noise, right? Of course, there are many other implications. You can do intent detection, constraint generation with prompts, voice activity, which is a subtle messaging through the voice that you capture in the form of text. Here's an example.
ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଋଣ ଆବେଦନର ସ୍ଥିତି ଜାଣିବା ପାଇଁ 5 ଦବାନ୍ତୁ।
This is text to speech.
ଅଭିନନ୍ଦନ, ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଋଣ ଅନୁମୋଦନ ହୋଇଛି।
Abhinandan is very bland, right?
ଅଭିନନ୍ଦନ, ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଋଣ ଅନୁମୋଦନ ହୋଇଛି।
Encoded features, right? Speaker conditioning, which I talked about in the case of our previous model, which is 1/10 the size of a larger model. We're actually able to do text to speech, which is dynamic, which has emotion-aware generation, and of course, you can also have fine-grained control through speech prompts as well.
నాకు రేపటిలోగా వేప పురుగు మందు డెలివరీ కావాలి, ఇది అత్యవసరం.
ఎల్లుండి మీరు ప్రామాణిక డెలివరీ ద్వారా దాన్ని పొందుతారు. తప్పకుండా మీరు ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ డెలివరీని ఎంచుకుని రేపు పొందగలరు.
The speaker, but also the urgency associated with the speaker's voice. Right? This is, of course, what we are doing next. We haven't reached here so far. That's what India emissions funding is going to be important for us for, where we can take in speech or text, output speech or text, and actually build true speech agents. And the reason we need slightly larger models to build these agents is there's an inflection point beyond which these models show the agentic behavior. And if you're aware of how distillation happens, model and knowledge distillation, when you have access to the larger size models, you could also distill the model, not just the data, to build smaller models, right? Larger models also have significant tool calling capabilities. Now I move to text. I know we have only 10 minutes left, but let me see what I can do. Again, I'm going to just give you some glimpses of what happens in each of those quadrants here. So in terms of the recipes, indigenous models, and benchmarks, what have we done for text? I already explained to you that one of the key things in designing these models is the data preparation, sampling, of course, the architecture associated with the model, and then you start the training loops, which of course can take quite a lot of time. The turnaround time is a big challenge with building foundational models, which you see on the right-hand side. And again, there are 4 aspects here: model, architecture selection, and optimal parameter choice, which are very much a research area of research, whereas there are areas which are more engineering focused. For example, distributed training pipeline setup, benchmarking and automation, and that's the reason we need engineering and research to work together. Thankfully, BharatGen enjoys that privilege. We were able to bring out Param 1 2.9 billion pre-trained model checkpoint, and then we had a fine-tuned version which was released. The pre-training was on, as I pointed out, a significant amount of Hindi, more than most other models out there, including Llama. The training, just to give an idea, if a small model like this, it needs 128 nodes. One node has 8 H100s for 2 epochs, and the training duration is 9 days. That's the order we are talking about, right? And what to speak of some of the smaller experiments we do before we get to these models, because we also need to make sure that these models perform well. And our model in the same range is so competitive. It's actually topping, I mean, in many of the benchmarks, it's actually doing as good or better than some of the other models, which are slightly even larger. Right? And as I pointed out, publications are in our DNA. So we keep putting them out, either in the form of blogs, which are easy to consume, or sometimes in the form of detailed technical reports. The other aspect of how do you make these models useful is a personal assistant. You need instruction data set. So one of the very important aspects in instruction data set or instruction fine-tuning is data mixing. There are many other aspects which I won't talk about, but what's interesting is we were able to figure out for the larger model runs some of the more useful configurations that lead to effective supervised fine-tuning. The data mixing proportions you see here example. And the other important aspect is downstream applications, right? So while we are working on base models, tuned models, and so on, there are also these important verticals. One of them is citizen access. So we work closely with the Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances, right? And what we realized is their need was not just the personal assistant, but also classification. A user grievance, I have not got an LPG subsidy, needs to be routed to the correct last mile grievance redressal officer sitting in their department. And it was so interesting that through this entire exercise, we were able to build new models. We were able to publish at top tier venues. In fact, we built an entire architecture called guided questioning. So when a user, I'll give an example from healthcare here. I feel fatigued and weak and I have a bad cough. Right? If I need to answer this query, I'll need to seek more information, because this query could be classified into asthma, cold, or spondylosis. The moment there's a guided questioning, the second part, the chatbot asks these questions. Well, the user says, I'm experiencing a severe cough which produces a lot of saliva, and that reduces the search space of potential classes. So this was published at NAACL 2025. But what's interesting is not only we built a rigorous POC, we did benchmarking, we also tied up with a system integrator and were instrumental in winning the RFP. So the point is, this is from lab to the market, right? And as I said, the 7 billion mixture of experts is quite unprecedented. We are able to do that in 16 languages with such a small number of parameters. And that was basically we were constrained by compute. That's why we had to go for 7 billion. But thanks to India Emission, we'll be able to now scale up this entire exercise significantly. Yeah, and that's how the model scaling enablement from India Emission is going to make a big difference. And this is what we are envisaging, up to 1 trillion parameters. The larger models, as I pointed out earlier, are very important that we have access to them so that we can distill from the model architectures, not just from the model data. Right? DeepSeek distilled from other data, but we can distill from architectures the way ChatGPT did with GPT-OSS. And there are also, of course, the implications in terms of multimodal speech and document vision models. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to move forward. how does the research-based enabling of technology happen in this entire process? So we maintain a repository of all the research threads, many of them task-specific sparsity patterns. What are the neurons that are attributed to different languages and tasks? How do you actually get very good effective personalization in the fine-tuning exercise and so on? There's a menu card of interesting research problems. I'm going to give a glimpse into some of them. It's stuck. But anyways, this is an example for high-quality optical character recognition, going all the way from layout detection, table recognition, equation extraction, and so on, creating an ensemble of models, the same mixture of expert idea, and being able to get you finished text. Right? This is in fact being offered as a pro bono service to many Indian agencies which have been collecting data, and we say, you are free not to share the data back with us, but here's a service we offer, because we are, of course, for India, for the public. And all the other important point I keep bringing back is we always present alternatives. There's no one size fits all. We cannot fit a square peg into a round hole. There are use cases where you actually can do well with just OCR-based models, where the text foundational models need to know the schema of the OCR data. And there's a whole bunch of approaches. And we are also building foundational models for document understanding. We, in fact, built India's first document vision language model. Now, what happens with documents specifically is, unlike vision, you need reconstruction, summarization, translation, classification, related queries, and of course, retrieval, grounding, and question answering. Right? And so we built out this entire pipeline, which is completely free from vision foundational models, which is based on LLMs plus understanding of the layout, right? So schema, markup. So this also gives us efficiency. This gives us the ability to ground provenance in the entire process. Here's an example where you have the structure in the table, and you want to identify the operating activities have a cost of over $455.2 in the year one. Right? All these semantics need to be actually preserved in Indian context documents. We also built India's first vision foundational document foundation model from scratch, which I mentioned earlier. And now the exercise is on with the India mission to extend this to 22 Indian languages for multiple verticals: finance, legal, healthcare, governance, and so on. And this is end-to-end. How is our VLM performing? Right? I mean, again, benchmarking is in our DNA. While we admit that we are not as good as Quinn, we also realize that there are certain benchmarks which are not appropriate for document vision models. So, for example, we created our own benchmark called Patram Bench. And DocVQA is somewhat easy to game. There are other issues. And we find that we're still quite competitive with a model which has actually ingested, I don't know how much data from where, which is Quinn from China. Right? Now, where are we heading with the entire India mission? This video should probably give you an idea. Okay, this is in play. But there's a very interesting video where we actually create the use case of land records, right? I mean, a person doesn't know what he's signing in rural India. And what we're able to show here is the needle in a haystack problem, or what we call the visual haystack problem, identifying the issue associated with the document that the person is signing and alerting the person proactively. Another very important aspect is a knowledge-driven component. So how do you make sure that knowledge is built into the model pipeline right from tokenization? This is very important. Tokenization gives you the ability to not only get explainability, but also inference speed. You can increase context length to have more control on that. So in this next slide, I'm going to give you an example of these lexical and syntactic aspects. So I'll give two examples. One is leveraging lexical similarity, which is word similarity across Indian languages for more effective, meaningful tokenization. And the other is syntactic similarity. So just an empirical exercise which we undertook. What happens if we actually do the right data mixing across different languages, Indian languages, to find the right token or sub-tokens, right? And we find that, interestingly, languages like Malayalam, which are morphologically rich, right? Their proportion, when it's increased, it helps the tokenizer better. Whereas languages like Hindi, even if you start with a uniform mixture, eventually Hindi, its importance gets suppressed. Why is that so, right? So here, we have published this, of course, at ACL, ICML, etc. You'll find that Hindi, Khulta. Now, Ku and Lata, is that the right sub-tokenization of Hindi? Well, I mean, you benefit more by having it as Khul and Ta, right? how do you actually bring this knowledge into tokenization? Even more so when it comes to what we call conjoint vowels. So here you have the word padhai. Padhai can be split as padha and I. Does that make sense? We would like to have the conjoint vowels along with the preceding consonants, right? Not only that, moment you start looking at sentence structures, so Kolkata sthit prasiddha Kali Maa ka mandir bahut hi bhavya hai. That's what is rendered in those graphs. All I want to point out is the graph E, A, B, C are rendered by doing what we call word grouping based on grouping the lexeme with the morpheme, morphological suffix. And what we realize is that Indian languages exhibit amazing similarity. The English is largely subject, verb, object. For small sentences, easy to see. Indian languages are subject, object, verb. And that's what you see leveraged. And why is this important? The moment you start looking at multi-token prediction, speculative decoding, which is, of course, for inference, but you can go back even to the training phase, you'll find that more intelligently parsing the structure of the language can help us reduce the or increase the fidelity, reduce the errors associated with the decoding, especially given Indian languages have less data. I know I'm running out of time, so there's a whole bunch of papers. I'm just going to flash. The other important aspect is data subset selection. If everyone talks about data sovereignty, one important aspect of data sovereignty is the provenance of the data. So we got a NURIS paper accepted yesterday. There's a whole bunch of papers which talk about how you can actually do dynamic data mixing through different stages of a process. This goes back to our EMNLP 2023 paper, and then we had a paper in ACL 2024, and finally a paper at NURIPS 2025 on this entire strategy in scalable settings. That's very important. How do you find the right data mixing so that the model, based on the model, the data mixing is being automatically figured out? I'm going to skip all of this, but you can go to my or BharatGen's website to understand. The last part here is Bharat Data Sagar. All this put together gives us a very agentic approach, but we also keep publishing benchmarks. This is a NAACL 2025 INDIC benchmark initiative. We also released a whole bunch of benchmarks in agricultural, finance, legal domains. They are all listed here, Ayurveda as well. And we've also been putting together approaches by which you can create these data sets. Right? This is these different domains. I'm going to skip all of this. This is legal, right? And there are a whole bunch of human-in-the-loop approaches that we have also curated and published at NAACL 25 for actually creating these data sets. Last but not the least, the entire exercise is always grounded through partnerships. That's why we have a SectionNet company which runs this. This is not just an academic exercise. I must point that out very clearly. And yeah, all these, not only those models, we also have fine-tuned applications that have been hosted on Hugging Face and AI Kosh. So here's a call for participation. Please do find ways by which you can plug into one or more of these different aspects of BharatGen. I try to present the entire ecosystem here today. We are very grateful to Cypher for helping, reschedule my talk, which was meant to be yesterday to today, because we had this announcement yesterday. Thank you very much.